Well, I'm pouring concrete in this barn for the first time, and I bet this barn hasn't seen concrete poured in it decades. I know it's been at least a couple decades. But this week's video, I'm sorry, it's a get things ready for the cattle video, and this is probably one of the this is the busiest time of year for me. We finish up harvest, then we gotta get all kinds of tiling done before we can't tile anymore, and throw in this getting cattle back thing. And I've been trying to work on this barn, trying to farm and trying to get, get as much tiling done as we can and get our equipment cleaned up and put away. So this week we're gonna put some equipment away. I'm gonna work in the barn, and I'll show you guys my tiling setup, and I'm gonna tell you my feelings on agriculture right now. So it's a kind of a me video. I don't mean to be selfish, but anyways, this post here, the gutter's buckled, with no cattle in here for a long time. So I stuck some rebar down in there and made a form and just adding on a wall. We're not putting a barn cleaner back in here, but for now that'll hold this post, because I need that gate, because the cows are going in those stalls over there. So I want a gate here. We got the gate there. Working on my ceiling. I worked on the roof last week. Still needs a little work, but I think it'll get us by till spring. It might have a few little leaks, but it's way better. But this is what we're up to. So I'm going to finish pouring this. I have to go fix a wheel bearing and get a header cart and bean head tucked away, and we're cleaning up equipment. So I'll show you some of my equipment we're cleaning up. And yeah, so I hope you guys can understand. I'll see if I can get you a good video next week. Otherwise, it might be a Thanksgiving video. But we're working on it. So as you can see, I got cattle coming in about a week, and there's a big old pile of lumber. There's a bunch of tin outside, and there's no ceiling there. And I got to get that gate mounted. So I apologize for the space heater running and the noise, but I don't like being cold. But I picked up 2 bags of just Sacrete at Menards, and I used exactly both bags. I kind of guessed on my form. That's all right. This room back here, this is for the manure pit. There's a barn cleaner there, obviously, and that was a Butler. It was a piston pump, and that used to pump the manure out to a concrete drive-in pit. But I filled that pit in 5 years ago. But this room is still pretty handy here. I gotta fix the roof on this one too. This is a problem. At one point I was gonna tear this barn down, and here we are now fixing the barn. So I guess I'm glad we're fixing the barn. There's a reason, I guess, why I didn't tear it down. I wasn't ready. And now we need to fix it, or it's gonna come down. So we've been working on this. Obviously the main part of the barn, part of that's got a new roof. The other one will need it probably within a few years, but it's all right for now. It's losing a few shingles, but they're the interlock shingles, so it's all right. But we've been sealing up the roof with blackjack, or well, imitation tar, I guess I should say asphalt. I'll show you guys. There's the ceiling tin. But the roof, still, I need to caulk it. The seams aren't real good. The wind wrecked that and kind of pushed the stuff up. But here is here is what we were doing. Sealing this all up. It's not perfect. It needs another coat, but we generally don't get a lot of rain in the winter time, so hopefully it lasts for a while here. But yeah, this is what we're working on. So yeah, obviously that side of the it's good. That's new. Got to paint this end of the barn next summer. The other end we did paint a few years ago. All right, so we're doing doing a little bit of equipment moving around here. I plow snow with a back blade. So this back blade was there, and the haybine was blocking it in. So move that, back the haybine back in there, unhook it from Larry's 1456. 720 can just stay there. 8225R will sit here this winter. The 8200 is out there. So once I unhook that, 14 will sit right in here. Then the 8200 will go over there. I'll hook it up to that back blade. So I got this all washed up. 8200 is washed up. I washed up the, and the chisel plows washed up. I washed up the stock chopper in the 44 the other night. Got some help washing the spreader, so I used it. My new spreader. I guess I didn't talk about that on here, but yeah. So, everything's a mess. Usually once we're done for the winter, I clean the shop all up. But yeah, so the 44 lives in here most of the time. But occasionally I need my shop to work on something and it has to come out. But yeah, the 44 stays here. So I got some more boards up here for the ceiling. I'm gonna call it a night. It's working all right. I got full length boards that go all the way to the walls and a lot of really heavy screws in here. It's making it a lot better. Sorry about the noise again, but I don't like being cold. It's really cool to see lights on in the barn again. So there hadn't been any lights and power in the barn since 2019. When I built the grain setup, I tore the feed room down and the wiring came through the feed room. So me and my dad got the lights working again in here. We chased all the wiring and we got lights again. It's really cool to see. This is my favorite part of the barn, was always down here. So I'll show you guys some tiling tomorrow. And probably a little bit more of this, and then we'll sit down and talk farming. And I'll show you guys this farm years ago, something really neat. So I know I showed you guys, the blower and the rake we got. This is the manure spreader. I didn't show it on YouTube. This is so cool. Like I said, my I don't know if I guess I didn't really talk about it. So when my dad bought his farm, one of the first things we bought was a New Idea spreader when I was a kid. He bought it was an Avco New Idea single axle spreader, and the Avco New Ideas were green and orange and white. Bought it from Mondovi Implement. And, so I automatically thought New Idea spreaders were pretty cool, but at that time in the 80s, this was the newer spreader. These came out late 80s, I believe, and 3600 series New Ideas. So if somebody had one of these, I thought, well, this is really cool. That's a new spreader. So that's what I wanted for a spreader. Now, when I dairied, we had a 513 New Holland that was actually Dad's. And then I bought a Myers 3245R, which was my spreader. And then I had liquid manure here, but you still have some manure to haul, like solids. And it was the first dairy farm I owned had a 6-day holding pit, which was slurry. So that's what that spreader hauled. But I wanted a nice box spreader here, and I was like, I want a 3600 series New Idea. So I was looking around a lot. I found this one on Craigslist in northwestern Iowa. And this spreader was bought by the original owner, brand new in 1989 here. And he said he used it from 89 to 91 a little bit. He just had a few pigs, was all. And then it was parked until 2000 in the shed. And then he used it for a few animals for his kids from 2000 to 2005. And he figured it hadn't hauled 30 loads ever. And if you look, it's now hauled another 10 loads. So, but even still, look at all the paint still on the beater. You know, and like I said, we just hauled another 10 loads. But yeah, the beater was all full of paint. The floor is great. The sides are great. It's just in really, really nice condition. So, you know, if you look at like all the sprockets are nice. Underneath, well, I could show you guys underneath, I guess. Yeah, I mean, look at the dry sprocket and that. All the cross members got paint on them yet. The frame, yeah, it's a really nice spreader. So, I got this. My dad went and picked this up a week ago. And we hauled some manure for Elsie's Barnyard, a place which does, well, they have, basically it's kind of like a big petting zoo. Animals for special needs kids. And being my son is autistic, that is a cause that helping Elsie's Barnyard is a good thing to us. So we went over and hauled their manure, so about another 10 loads for them. So got to try it out. I should replace the rope here. I'm assuming the original one broke after all those years, but everything shifts just like it should. It works just, you know, perfect. So I was pretty excited about this spreader. So here's the spreader. Like I said, one owner, late 80s manure spreader in really nice shape. Kind of the same way with that rake. That's what I was looking for. All right. So in the video we did with Paul Tonsager, we actually talked about Horde's Dairyman magazine. And this is obviously years ago, but this is my farm back in, 32 years ago when John Shoemaker owned it, and he had a really awesome herd of Guernsey cattle. A lot has, been... There's a lot of changes since then. Obviously, you can see that roof on the addition looks a lot better, and the paint on the end of the barn looks better, but this was my farm years ago. And when I think of what a great time in farming, I look at the early 90s and mid 90s and stuff as really a great time. And maybe it's just nostalgia, but I don't know. I think probably farming was better when a 50 cow dairy was, a good way to live and a good living. I don't feel like we're better off today, but for a long time there, I guess I really didn't feel like I needed livestock again, but there's definitely a spot that's kind of getting filled in by doing this. And it's neat to see the barn getting some use and seeing lights on in the barn. So I'm really excited about this. And yeah, sorry that I've had to do a couple of these videos where I can't do a tractor story, but we'll definitely get back to them. I've got this week's lined up. Be shooting one this week. So next Friday, you will have a tractor story with all the chaos that we're going to have with cattle coming. But I'm going to show you guys a couple other things that just take me back and that make me just something I enjoy, very sentimental. So if you can't notice or didn't notice, I like farm toys. I have a lot of farm toys, but I also really like some of this old farm memorabilia. If you notice the Harvestor hats, I like Harvestor memorabilia. And the Harvestor patch there is really cool because it's got dairy cow, a hog, and a beef cow, and a Harvestor and a slurry store. And the zero patch there. So Don had zero dairy equipment. And the zero product was interesting the way they did it. Zero ran vacuum on both lines, both the vacuum line and the milk line all the time. And actually, their bulk tanks would actually have vacuum on them at one point. They kind of went away from that, I believe, but the milking system was neat from the standpoint of you would have vacuum on both lines, and then you would, when you washed the pipeline, you would actually open those valves and wash them both. So the milker claws had floats in them. The pulsators actually would get, except for the electrical part, but actually you'd get water up to them. You would wash the pulsator assembly while you were washing out the pipeline and the claw. Obviously, some more farm toys. There's a certain era that I love. Like those farm sets, I really like. And we got a few more toys over here too. I guess we got a lot of toys. And when you got kids, they take over a lot of your stuff. So we have a lot of farm toys, but I want to show you guys some brochures. So this brochure is really cool because my favorite harvesters are blue top harvesters, but very specifically this era of harvester because it's, well, yeah, blue top harvesters, but yet the font is the newer font, the more modern harvester font. So this brochure I got online, and this is the coolest thing. This really makes me, long for the way farming used to be. 56 blower. It's an IH 56. They were a really good blower, famous blower. Hercules unloader in there. I mean, if you actually read this, you'll be convinced that you have to. That like, gosh, how can I not use a harvester? But that's a really cool picture. The guy's he's got a fox chopper hooked to the pipe, and he's putting round or small square baled hay into a fox chopper. But what a really neat brochure. But this is, okay, what I mean by the modern font, the A.O. Smith, like the last design font they had. And if you look at this brochure, you have blue tops, but then the first white tops. So, and you also have for the unloaders in here. I guess it doesn't show them all, but I think on this picture it does. Okay, so if you look here, you got Hercules, and then there's a Goliath unloader coming out. So I got another harvester brochure I'll show you guys, and another brochure that was for this farm. These brochures were actually, well, they came with the farm. I was given these brochures. And this harvester brochure is the newer harvester brochure. It's all white tops. And just there's no Hercules in here anymore. So you have the Goliath and the power sweep harvester. And then actually an Atlas unloader, which was a big unloader, really big unloader. That's a really neat one. But there's a picture in here that I just takes me back. Like, if you look at that, like you could just picture it's, a guy feeding cattle in the wintertime, it's chores. And there he is in the feed room and getting the cattle fed, and I can smell it, I can hear it, the that he's out of the wind, he's getting the cattle fed, and probably in the barn it's warm. I love that. So yeah, this is a really cool one here. And obviously that's a newer, uh, you know, emblem, but they updated it after A.O. Smith sold Harvestor, the division off. But and then this, okay, the Grain-O-Matic. So this is the Madison high moisture corn silo, a sealed silo, and this is a really cool brochure. And this came with the farm, so there was a manual for this that this brochure was in, and I saved the brochure out. I wish I would have kept the whole manual, but I didn't. But that was given to me when I bought the farm, because there is a Madison Grain-O-Matic. So John Shoemaker owned this farm, and he died this was July. He died that fall. And the guy that I bought the farm from then, he changed, he built things. He built a calf barn, which would be right in there, right in here, actually. Big shed would be over here. The one that's got the hay and equipment and the manure spreader in. But that silo, well, if you look, there's the Madison Grain-O-Matic. That silo was torn down, replaced with an 18x70 Rochester. These two silos that share an unloader were torn down, and they were replaced with the Harvestor. So, all right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's not a tractor story, and we're going to work on the tractor stories. I don't know how to hold this like a selfie when I'm doing this. I don't have my assistant here, but tractor story for sure getting recorded next week. And maybe I'll end up doing a short little video after we get the cattle in the barn. But I'm going to try and do tractor stories kind of from here on out. We're starting to get caught up with some things, but there's still, some cleaning up and that kind of stuff. And then there's tiling yet to finish up. But hopefully we can make time to do some tractor stories. So I appreciate you guys' patience. We'll get back to more normal stuff. But I hope maybe you guys like these videos. So, and if you do, let me know, and maybe we'll do some farming. I'll show you guys more of my farm. So my farming, what we're doing, whether it be in the springtime and even throughout harvest, growing season, all that stuff. I can show you guys some of that stuff if you guys enjoy it. So anyways, thanks a lot. I hope you guys are patient with me, and you guys have a good one.